Let's talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us: broken promises. Those moments when someone says they'll do something, maybe it's a vow, a commitment, or even just a simple assurance, and then they don't follow through. It stings, doesn't it? Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and when promises are broken, that foundation cracks. But here's the thing, the Bible has a lot to say about this. It's not just about people letting us down, it's about how breaking promises affects our relationship with God too. Let's dive into what Scripture says and how we can navigate these tough situations. First off, the Bible doesn't take broken promises lightly. Ecclesiastes 5:4-5 says, "When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow, than that thou shouldest vow and not pay." Ouch, right? This isn't just about big, formal vows. It's about every promise we make. When we don't keep our word, it's a big deal to God. Jesus also emphasized the importance of honesty in our words, but let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. Matthew 5:37. In other words, our yes should mean yes, and our no should mean no. If we're constantly breaking promises, it reveals a heart issue, one that the Bible calls out as deceitful and unreliable. The Bible is full of stories about betrayal, and they're not easy to read. Take Judas Iscariot, for example. He walked with Jesus, saw his miracles, and still sold him out for 30 pieces of silver. Jesus even said, "It had been good for that man if he had not been born." Matthew 26:24. That's how serious betrayal is in God's eyes. Then there's the Israelites. God delivered them from slavery in Egypt, provided for them in the wilderness, and yet they constantly turned away from him. Psalm 78:36-37 says, "Nevertheless they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongues. For their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant." Their lack of faithfulness led to some pretty severe consequences. So why do people do it? Sometimes it's selfishness. Proverbs 6:16-19 lists the things God hates, and one of them is a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. Betrayal often comes down to putting personal gain above loyalty and integrity. Other times it's about opportunity. People see a chance to benefit themselves and they take it, even if it means hurting someone else. Think about the rich young ruler in Matthew 19:16-22. He walked away from Jesus because he valued his wealth more than following Christ. It's the same today. Some people value their comfort, status, or pride more than the trust they owe to others. Okay, so what do we do when someone breaks a promise or betrays us? It's painful, but the Bible gives us some clear guidance. 1. Trust God's justice. First, remember that God sees everything. Romans 12:19 says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." It's tempting to want to get even, but we're called to trust that God will handle it in his time. 2. Set boundaries. Forgiveness is essential, but it doesn't mean we have to stay in toxic relationships. Proverbs 14:7 says, "Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge." If someone repeatedly breaks your trust, it's okay, and sometimes necessary, to walk away. 3. Guard your heart. Finally, don't let bitterness take root. Ephesians 4:31-32 says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice, and be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you." Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing the wrong, but it does mean not letting it consume you. Broken promises aren't just about people letting us down. They're an offense against God. Those who betray others for selfish gain are walking a dangerous path, and their actions won't go unnoticed. As believers, we're called to be faithful in our commitments, discerning in our relationships, and trusting in God's justice. When faced with betrayal, we can seek peace, walk in truth, and let God handle the rest. So, what do you think? Have you ever dealt with broken promises or betrayal? How did you handle it? Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts.